The deputy leader of the Labour Party, Lucy Powell, who's in central lobby. Or, Lucy, am I talking to the next leader of the Labour Party?
You're talking to the deputy leader of the Labour Party, and I think what we saw tonight very, very clearly and resoundingly was how much support there is for Keir Starmer as our leader in the PLP. I've never known a meeting quite like that one that there was this evening. I think there were maybe 3, 4 or more standing ovations for Keir, including when he entered the room. Because, look, I think we all recognise it's been a difficult week, difficult few days, most importantly for the victims of Epstein and that the web of power and corruption and of abuse that he weaved across the world, actually, and how that sort of impacted on this Labour Party and people feeling that somehow we're all as bad as Epstein or Peter Mandelson. And it's been a difficult week, but MPs from across the Labour Party, in their dozens and dozens, wanted to come along this evening to show that the Prime Minister has their full support, and he spoke very passionately from the heart, and I think that was very reassuring.
I'm interested in your support for him, and he hasn't really supported you. He shuffled you out of the cabinet, and he didn't want you to be deputy leader of the Labour Party either. So why has he got your support in being Prime Minister still?
Well, look, you're right to say I'm not a formal member of the government. I'm not on the payroll. I don't have my job through any patronage of the Prime Minister. I'm directly elected by the PLP and party members. I have my own mandate. And the Prime Minister has my support because I happen to think that's the right thing for the country, and that's the right thing for our party too, because we have got a country to run and we've got things that we need to change, that we were elected to change. And we can only do that as one team working together to get that kind of change in. Yes, of course, we have made mistakes and we need to do better. And Keir and I have spoken a number of times, not just in recent days, but since I was elected, about some of the ways that we need to improve how we're working, the cultural aspects, and making sure that we're more inclusive and collaborative, and that we hear more voices, but also in telling a much stronger story about whose side we're on in this Labour government. And he's been very receptive to working with me on those issues, and I also happen to think that him continuing to be the Prime Minister of this country with the full support of the PLP is absolutely the right thing. So I'm not saying it because anybody's asking me to say it, because I'm not bound by that. I'm saying it because I think it's the right thing to do.
So it sounds a bit like having your cake and eating it here, because on the one hand you wanted to stay as Prime Minister, the government to continue, but you also want him to compromise the agenda that he won an election on for the sake of the wider parliamentary Labour Party. You want both things at the same time?
Well, not at all, no. I think that, and he spoke about this evening very powerfully and clearly, that he recognises that the way in which we operate and the Labour Party's operated in a government does need to be more inclusive, it does need to be more plural, it does need to bring in all the sort of talents of the Labour Party into that as well. We have a manifesto.
Does it need to be more left-wing? Is that what you're saying? Does Labour need to move more to the left? No.
It's not what I'm saying at all. We've got a manifesto that we were elected on, some of which we've delivered, some of which is now being enacted and coming on stream. That's going to make a real difference to people's lives, whether that's more decent pay at work and rights at work, whether that's more security as a renter, whether that's bringing down mortgage rates, all of those things that we are doing that are coming on stream now. We've got more things in our manifesto that we were elected to do, and we need to get on with doing those. But we need to tell that much stronger Labour story about whose side we're on and how the change that we are delivering is really in the interests of ordinary people, and that we are taking on those vested interests. And I think we can all accept, and Keir would accept this just as much as me, that we haven't told a strong enough story about that, and we haven't, in the way that we've operated at times, we haven't always made the right decisions, which is why we have made some mistakes. So we do, it's absolutely fine to make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. I think the key is, do you learn from those mistakes, and what changes do you make to make sure that they don't happen again? And I think what we heard from Keir this evening was, him owning those mistakes and him being really, really clear about how he wants to address them and make sure they don't happen again.
Lucy Powell, thank you very much indeed for joining us here
Thank
on
you.
the Politics Hub.